Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here with Black Flag Racing TV. How is everyone on this fine Sunday evening? For those of you into football, I had a good day today. Crystal Palace finally won a game. But that's not what we're here for today. We are here for some brilliant motor racing. Albeit e-motor racing, but it is motor racing all the same. And we are back with the Lithuanian GR3 Championship. Great staple of Sunday evenings at the moment, and we had some brilliant action over the last 4 weeks. We're at week 5. This is the midway point of the race, and everything's hotting up a little bit. It's all getting a little bit feisty across the whole track. Couple of changes today. Simonis has played his token, ditched the NSX, has switched to the BRZ. And Shady, for some reason, he seems to, because of tyres, has ditched the AMG, which is a phenomenal motor car, phenomenal. But he's ditched the AMG and he has decided to go for the Aston Martin instead. Not my personal choice. How you doing, Josas and Rimentas? And Arminis, how you doing? Good to see you guys. So let's have a little look about Watkins Glen, because that's where we are tonight. We're at Watkins Glen. Very, very good racetrack. This the Americans love this track. So that is Watkins Glen. It is just under 3.5 miles, 11 corners, and some of it quite complex. It's a high-speed track with a bit of technicality, making it it can be quite complicated, particularly turns 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty quick there. It's when you get the chicane at the inner loop. And then sort of 5, the outer loops, not too bad, but 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 can be very tricky corners, particularly if you are going two abreast. Because it's such a high-speed track as well, it can be difficult to overtake in some places. I've seen overtakes done at the chicane, but you would be mental to try it unless you have a crazy good line to make it. So I imagine we're going to see a few penalties, certainly for cutting corners around that to the end of the back straight into the inner loop, but we'll see how it pans out. So coming up to the midway point, I think it would be good to have a look and see just what is in store for us in terms of the standings and what have you. So let's have a little looky. Just switching everything on, to be fair. Right, there we go. So that's where we're currently at. Wendigo in that Porsche 911 won the first 2 races, hasn't been able to win since round 2, but still tops that leaderboard with 90 championship points, just by virtue of the fact Simona's missed the first couple of races. So he's raced twice in that NSX, really good, and won last time out, but has ditched it now and gone for a different car, the BRZ. With the BRZ's a good motor car, to be fair, but clearly he hasn't done too well in the NSX round this track. Anyway, in terms of penalty points, no change. We've got Kostya still got his 9 points for a rage quit, or his 8 points for a rage quit, sorry. Etan has 5 points for a blue flag incident, and Alpha for a separate incident with 4 points. 10 penalty points, of course, results in a qualifying ban, and 15 points results in a 1 race ban. But moving down the leaderboard, Simona's, we know, is second place, just under 30, so 27 points, 26 points behind, 64 points he's on at the moment. It's going to take, essentially what he needs Wendigo to have an awful race and to win, to really close that gap. King Bob in that AMG, he's certainly getting some good speed out of the AMG. Shady not so happy with it, but he's currently sitting third in the leaderboard, 63 points. A finish above Simona's today will be enough for him to jump into the top 2. Guy as well, running very well, only 61 points at the moment. While Wendigo's running away with it on 90 points, the battle for second is still very close run between 3 drivers. Fizz Ruckus just outside that top 4 in 5th place in that Corvette C7, 47 points. Again, another good result here. That could all change. You can find himself jumping into that top 4. Timosius just a few points behind, getting a lot out of the Alfa Romeo 4C. McLaren 650S for Rolles, sitting in 7th at the moment. I'm sorry, I'm just waiting to see if the lobby's coming up. I haven't looked yet. And Davis D, the current reigning champion, is sitting at the moment in 8th place and not having great results. I don't know whether it's the Lexus or whether he's just he hasn't found his right tracks yet. But we're only at the halfway point. There's still 6 races to go to the end of the season. Arminis running in that GT Supra. No, the GR Supra. That GR Supra is a brilliant race car by anyone's standards. One of the best GR3 cars. I think the only GR3 car better than that, I think, or better all-rounder, is the Porsche 911. Pascal's in the McLaren 650S. He's on 36 points. And then we've got the second of the Porsche runners, the Porsche being run by Guy, he's up in the top 4. Then we've got Dariukas also in that Porsche 911. Shady just ditching the AMG Mercedes, going for the Aston Martin, purely for a tyre benefit. Now, Watkins Glen, because it's a high-speed track, very fuel-intensive, and some of those high-speed corners can be very tyre-intensive. I think strategy is going to be really important today. It's going to be about pace management. Now, the only problem with pace management is the issue you have if the guys out in front literally go off and disappear off the road. But we had that at Fuji last week. A few drivers just disappeared off with some crazy speed early doors, and it did mean that some strategies had to change. This is a 2-stop race for me. I don't think the hard tyres going long is going to give you the kind of pace you need to make it to the end of this race with any decent position. I think this is soft and mediums all the way. It might mean a few more stops, it might mean longer stops, but I think that's kind of the best approach for everybody, really. But then we'll see. So who is in the room? That's important. We should probably see who's in this evening. So we'll get rid of the penalties and we'll get rid of. Just still trying to get my head around the admin side of things. We'll that way. So Wendigo, and we knew he'd be in the room. He's the current championship leader. There's no way he's going to be missing this race. It's currently the 911, and obviously that's the car of choice. And at the moment, it proves that it is the best car because it's top of the leaderboard. Gidrazo also in that 911. He's at Daytona in the 4C. They're shading with his new car, the Aston Martin DBR GT1. Good looking car, not necessarily a great GT car, certainly not in this class. Arminis in the Toyota GR Supra. There's Danis D in his Lexus RCF. Mantis in the 911. And Hoppity Hop also in the 911. And then we've got Dariukas running the 911 as well. So everyone's opted for this 911. It's such a good car. Such a good car. And then obviously Rollers will be in the 650S. So I think the best thing to do is have a look, see who's on track, see if anyone's actually doing any laps. Doesn't look like anyone, is it? I think just all sitting there waiting for qualifying to start, which is in about 5 minutes or so. So let's have a little looky see. There we go. So all the details up. So annoying with these menus on GT7, it's making it so complicated to get everything started. Always one button on GTS and it's like 10 buttons here. So there Wendigo. Nobody actually going around the track at the minute, which surprises me. I'm not quite sure why nobody's decided to go out on track. Maybe they're saving their speed for qualifying. They don't want anyone to know what they're about. But it doesn't look like anyone's changing their cars today, other than the two we already know about. But if they haven't made their token, they're not going to be able to. Interestingly, Hoppy Hop is sitting on medium tyres. Now, I'm assuming that he's not going to run that in qualifying, because that certainly won't be a good idea. That's better. We haven't seen Manvidas racing so far, so he's drafted him to cover where others haven't been so far. I don't think we've seen him. I don't remember him racing this stage. He did put in a token for last week by the looks of things. He did, yes. So he put a token in for last week, which brings him into the tournament. It gives him 10 points for last week. He couldn't make it. So he is a new draft into the room. Not quite sure who that was. Just jumped in. I don't recognise that name. Won't be hanging around long though. That was Critters. I think Critters was following me in actually. He hosts some of the GT Fusion stuff. But so we're just waiting. We've got about 3 minutes to qualifying. We've got 14 in the room. Good, full room, love it. Rod is Wendigo. Manfredas with his first race. Davis D, reigning champion. Guy currently 4th in the championship. Arminis, Mr. J. Shady with his new Aston Martin. Dariukas in the 911. Simonis in his new car, the BRZ. 20 minutes qualifying starting pretty much now. There's Tom. Thomas is in the Alpha, and he is one of the first out on track. And it looks like everyone has gone for the soft tyres. Mr. J not changed his tyres yet, but I'm sure he will be at some stage. So quick track rundown, because I don't have a track yet for it. So here we go. Here's on board with Dynasty. Let's see. So you've got this really, really long straight pretty much from the off. You've got this back straight, brings you up to the chicane. You don't have to brake too hard for the chicane. It's about managing the speed over those curbs. They can, and we've seen it happen in, particularly in the GR3 classes. If you catch that first curb wrong, it can send you off to the right into that wall, which, with heavy damage on, is going to ruin your race. I think that's going to be key, is keeping away from these walls, because if you do dip a wheel on the grass or on some of these slipperier chevrons, you can easily unsettle your car, particularly in the very, very quick corners. And that is a really, really slow corner. That is the one that you can make an overtake there if you are very brave on the brakes. This is a deceptive corner. You really early apex, but it takes such an age to get out of the corner and get on the power, because it keeps turning on you as you go through. Then you move back into the stadium section. We've got this big high-speed left-hander with small lift just to get it turned in, and then back on the power, and again a little dab of brake and a lift, and you round the start-finish straight under the go bowling side to complete a lap round the Glen, Watkins Glen. So Wendigo, he will be the first one to set a time in the 911. Now he's looking to get another win. He did win race 1 and 2. Didn't get a win last time out or in round 3, but he's keeping himself in the mix, which is always important if you over the course of the championship, if you want to win it. But so far he seems the man to beat. Just nobody seems to be close to him apart from Simonis, and it does surprise me actually that Simonis has been so quick in that NSX that he's opted to switch out his car already. Now, I don't know if he's done some testing as how the track's coming up and he feels that car's better suited. And we know that the NSX has a kind of, it's either on or off. It's not, you can't really feather the throttle of that car. It literally is all or nothing with that car. But to switch out to the BRZ, when you're doing so well in another car, a bit of a head scratcher for me, that one. But he obviously knows what he's doing. You know, he's a quick guy. But we are watching Wendigo now as he comes round to complete Sector 2, looking very good, catching the apex in all the right places at the moment. Gets on that power. You've got to be careful there, because there is a penalty to be had if you go just a little bit too wide out of that corner, and you only need to get your 4 tyres over that line, similar to what you did there, but on the other side, and that's a penalty for you. And the penalty here can be brutal. You lose about 1.5 seconds for every half a second of the penalty, or additional 1.5 seconds on top of the actual penalty time, should I say. Just in terms of the pace you lose because of where it is. So Wendigo first across the line, he comes straight out of the bag with a 1:43.2. Anyone else got anything to match that? Well, Dynasty certainly not. 44.9. To Moses, we know he can be quick, and he gets some really good pace out of that Alpha 4C with a 44.4. So far, the only one sub 43. And as I say that, Simonis proves exactly why he switched to the BRZ. He has just put in 1:42.9. That is a phenomenally fast lap round here at the Watkins Glen in these GR3s. And if that's his first lap out, I'm expecting maybe a 42.5 from some of these faster guys. So Simonis starting to ramp up the pace. Looking down the order, Shady, much better improvement from him. Excuse me. So he ditches the AMG, puts himself in the Aston Martin, and straight away 1:44.2 out of the bag. So he's got some pace in there. Guy puts himself up onto row 2 with a 44.1. So the two Porsches, some different times between them so far. Tom, as we know, has got a good time. Paz Kozas he's a top running McLaren at the moment with a 1:44.5. Dariukas 1:44.8 and has stopped. Hopefully that's not his only offering. And there's Dynasty 1:44.9. And look how much is coming out of those soft tyres already on that Lexus. No one else, after doing a couple of laps, has had so much damage to their tyres. Now, either where's he gone? Can't find him now. He's completely disappeared, so I can't look at his tyres anymore. Oh, he's in the pits now. So I think we have to go. I want to keep an eye on that Lexus and how much he's taking out those tyres quite so quickly, because that was only 3 laps. That was an out lap and 2 hot laps, and his tyres already well on their way to becoming condoms. They were that worn and ready to be recycled. So that's something to watch. That Lexus clearly very, very abrasive on those tyres. Las Vidas, with a phenomenal lap time, does a 42.8 in the Mazda. Interesting choice, that Mazda. No livery on it, just a blacked out Mazda. It looks like a Batmobile, doesn't it? Fondly known by my friend G-Mac as the European Mazda. That is a really, really good time, and very surprising in that car actually that he's pulled out that time in the Mazda. Now, I didn't think that he was running. I'm just having a look on the leaderboard to see what car he was advertising. I don't think he's run yet. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't run yet. So that is actually his first outing in the team. Thought I'd seen him before, but not today. So he's in the European Mazda. But that is, look how abrasive that is on the tyres. He did a 42.8 and a 42.6 so far, which is only just faster than the 42.9 that Simonas puts in. So 2 drivers so far have gone sub 43. Only one further has gone sub, well, I lied actually. 2 have gone sub 44. Penalties already being handed out. I'm going to take back what I said about running soft and medium here, because the soft tyres are absolutely getting torn to shreds after just a couple of laps. So the problem we're going to have now is that people are going to have to run, we're seeing some crazy lap times right now, but we're going to see nothing like it when they have to run the harder compound tyres just to keep themselves out of the pits. If they're only getting 4 laps out of the soft tyres, even with a better tyre management, I don't think we're going to see anybody running those softs. So Simonas there, he's on a hot lap at the moment, and currently his personal best, he's currently on the front row, second on the grid, 2.5 tenths slower than Las Vidas. We'll have a look at the next split and see how much he is up, if at all. How you doing, Romantus? I think I pronounced that right. Welcome to the stream. So we're just going to see another split time coming up very shortly. There we go. So that's a purple sector. Looking really hot now for Simonas. So he's a bit slower in sector 1 than Las Vidas, but has upped the pace, and now it is purple with about, 5 minutes, with that 4 minutes left of qualifying to get through. So at the moment, Las Vidas is on pole position, and 1:24.3 is the split time there. This is looking very good for a pole position here as he rounds that final corner. Got to avoid that wall when you come out of the bend. Does that very well, but gets close, but not too close. Is that sub 42? It's not, but it is a 1:42.4. So 2 tenths faster than Las Vidas. So Simonas now on pole position. So that switching to that BRZ looks to be a masterstroke for him. Las Vidas in the European Mazda finds himself in second place at the moment on the front row alongside Simonas. Wendigo and Guy, the 2 top 911 runners, current championship leader and sitting 4th, are on the second row, 3rd and 4th, with a 43.2 and a 43.4 respectively. Paz Kozas is next, the top McLaren runner, sitting with a 43.5, so he's broken that 44 barrier as well. What about Rollins? Rollins also broken the 44 barrier with a 143.8. He's alongside Paz Kozas on row 3. Row 4 is Shady, much improved Shady actually in that Aston Martin. He changed from what, for me, I think the AMG is a phenomenal car, but it can be, and we see how bad it is on tyre. We see how bad this track is on the soft tyres. So maybe actually that's supposed to be a masterstroke ditching the AMG now, before he ends up running a race where he's got a pit every 3 laps. Timosius was quick initially, 44.0 is his best time in the Alpha 4C. He's only a couple of hundredths slower than Shady, so definitely some room for improvement in there. Manfredas in the United States, so for him, we're talking, what is it, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon. He is running the Porsche 911. He is 1:44.1. 10 minutes to start, 10 minutes left. So Shady moves down the order after Manfredas puts in that time. Dariukas, 1:44.4, so all very close around at midfield. Audriox with a 1:44 as well, so nothing in it between Dariukas and Audriox at the moment, but the man to beat at the moment is Simonas. That 1:42.4 yet to be beaten. He can't even beat it himself at the moment. Really, really solid time though, to be fair, really solid time. I'll say that as Las Vidas puts in a 1:42.2. So, do we have a sub 1:42? Has Las Vidas or Simonas or Wendigo or Tom, have any of these guys got a sub 1:42 lapping for qualifying? Because I don't think we're going to get an opportunity to see such a quick lap when the race starts, just purely because we're going to have to go for much harder tyres. So what have they got in the tank? Has one of these boys got something special for me? Just having a look where you guys are based, actually, because I know you're all of Latvian, I'm so sorry, of Lithuanian descent. I can't believe I just said Latvian. Do slap me. Of Lithuanian descent. But you're kind of spread throughout the world. Las Vidas, the UK. Simonas, that is Finland. I'm guessing here now, of course. Wendigo, UK. Tom's in the UK. Guy, that's Poland. I'm assuming, is that Finland or Norway? Someone please enlighten me. I'm not great with flags. Ronnie's obviously in the UK. Manfredas in the United States of America. So a very different time zone for him. And talking of America, actually, if you guys want to see some Americans, and a few Brits actually, to be fair, racing around a racetrack and have nothing to do at 1:30 UK time on a Sunday morning, then check me out right here at Black Flag Racing TV, where I do the where I'm streaming the commentary for season 4 of the GT Champions Championship, for want of a better expression. It was round 5 yesterday, round 6, round 5 yesterday. Doing Group 4, which is a really solid group, pretty full lobbies, and it's a very interesting format of racing. 90 minutes endurance with only one pit window. So do check it out here on Black Flag TV. If you like GR3 racing, of course, you can also check us out on Wednesday evenings for the Open GR3. We've got GR4s on Monday, and it's GR4 lottery. Interesting concept in which you don't pick the car, I do, through a lottery system. So everyone has a different car. They have a little bit to push with, to tune with, and a little bit of leeway to play around. But their car is their car based on the lottery system. And then, of course, we've got the Super Formula Series, which is ramping up and proving to be really, really cool on Saturdays. But there we go. So anyway, we're going through where everyone's based. So Shady and Aldrox in the UK, Dariukas in the UK, Dynasty in the UK. Mr. J, now that is definitely Norway. So I'll go with Finland, and that's Norway. I don't know. That's terrible, isn't it? I should know this. It shows me in the room, obviously, from the UK, but I'm not here. Right, so let's be still the fastest man on the racetrack. So give me 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. apologies for that. My son was just doing a food order. And I'm partaking in that, especially if I'm not paying. So, Simonas has finally beaten that. 142.1. 900ths a second quicker. He's not going to improve on it now with that 1.5 second penalty though, but looking very racy in the BRZ. Very, very racy indeed. Las Vidas jumps into the room in the European Mazda and chucks out some crazy times, but he's going to have to repair after damaging his car. Now this is going to be the key here, is keeping out of the walls. Now do you sacrifice a little bit of speed just to be sure you can keep the car on the racetrack? Certainly that would be the wise decision here, because if you hit a wall here and you damage your car, it's a high speed circuit. People are going to get round very quickly while you're trudging home to get your repairs done. I do like the look of that car, but it could do with a bit of livery. Just had my Sunday evening beer. And any of you catch the Grand Prix this morning? It was a pretty eventful race this morning, the Grand Prix. I'm going to ask the question to the world. So there's 6 of you watching. I'm assuming you guys are into motorsport because you're watching this. I'm assuming also that you're into Formula 1. Now, can someone please answer me, what the fuck is the point of having wet tyres if you're not going to fucking use them to race on? Literally, they have a wet tyre compound, and then every time the racetrack is too wet for inters, they go and sit in the pits and wait for it to stop fucking raining. If that's the case, then do away with inters, do away with wet tyres, only race when it's sunny, and reorganise the races on all these racetracks to a time when it's not due to fucking rain. Because it's just ridiculous for me. We know it's a dangerous sport. It's supposed to be dangerous. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. If it wasn't dangerous, it wouldn't be exciting. It's kind of the point. But if you're not going to have races in the wet, then don't have wet tyres. Simple as, right, run over. You're quite welcome to disagree with me, and if you do, please say so. Or tell me why it's a good idea to have wet tyres and not actually use them, unless you're driving behind a safety car. But no change at the moment. Simona still has the fastest lap, still on pole position. A couple of minutes left before qualifying's over. He's got a 142.1. This might be his last opportunity to go sub 142. Las Vidas also with a 142, but a 142.2. He's got his last opportunity to set a quick time. Windigo and Gee, 3rd and 4th on the second row. Arminis, really good qualifying from him. Up into row 3, just ahead of Rollins, who joins him on row 3. Shady, a lot more pace for him in that Aston Martin than I've seen for him in the AMG. So, good choice. He is on row 4 alongside Manfredas, Dariukas and Aldriox on row 5. Danius D and Mr. J, row 6. And Timosius, I'm not sure where is he for. He's 1.2 seconds off, so he's going to be somewhere around here. I think they need to fix the lobby so I can. So it tells us where. So it looks like. So Paz Kozas has put himself onto the second row, by the looks of things. Yeah, so he's on the second row. I haven't got his lap time, so I can't tell you what it is. So that relegates Gee to row 3. And he will be alongside, I think, Timosius, maybe? Yeah, Timosius, there he is. He's on row 3 with Gee. Gee actually moving down another spot as well. Timosius just a little bit quicker. Don't know if those on the roundup are going to have time to put another lap in, because I'm pretty sure we've already had the 2-minute warning. But there is the man on pole, Simonas in the BRZ. He's done a 142.1. He's done a 142.4. Those are his fastest 2 laps. Has he got anything more? Can he find another couple of tenths and give me a 141? Give not just me, give all of us. Give us all a 141.9. Has he got that in the tank? I mean, the car's certainly quick enough to do that. It's whether he can get that out of the car. But we know how abrasive this track is. How many are brave enough to go really, really short? And he's gone purple. He has gone purple with just 1 sector remaining. Can he get under that 142 mark after changing his car? But back to tyres. So I think it's going to take a really, really brave driver to have the soft tyres to start this race, because they're going to have to pit almost immediately after starting the race. And unless they can pull out a big gap, it's going to be a problem. He hits the wall on the last corner. That's not going to be a faster lap. He was purple up until that point. Catches the wall coming out of the final turn, just giving it that extra push to try and give it a sub 142 lap, but doesn't work out for him. He still is in pole position though. There is the man that will be alongside him. It's only 100th of a second difference almost between them. Las Vidas in the Mazda. He's gone personal best, but he hasn't gone track best. Still a bit of work to do if he wants to move up that extra position. Wendigo will be on row 3. He's the current championship leader. Important for him to finish ahead of his rivals, or as much as he can. What he doesn't want is he doesn't want those championship contenders sitting down in second, third, that kind of area. He doesn't want to see Guy or King Bob or Simone. Simone's at the moment is on pole, but he doesn't want to see those guys ahead of him, and he certainly doesn't want to see more than 2 or 3 cars ahead of him, because he wants to keep adding to the points tally, keep adding to that, week in, week out. And I mean that's how you win championships. I mean, yes, it's great if you can win every race every week, but that doesn't rarely happens. You can win every single race on every single racetrack. The key to winning a championship is to just keep churning out points, or as many points as you can. Taking the wins when you can, but when you can't win, just finishing as high as possible, getting those points on the board, and just churning out race after race after race, and not necessarily taking crazy risks to go for additional positions you might probably not need to get. I'm sure we are well over that 20-minute mark for qualifying now. Everybody's had a chance to set a time. If you haven't set a better time by now, I don't think there's one in the tank for you. Mr. J looking solid at the moment. Will be interesting to see, actually, because championship wise we've got Simonis, we've got King Bob, who's not racing today by lots of things. Who is he? I don't think he is. No, he's not. King Bob not racing today, so that's going to push him out of the championship order. So we've got Simonis, we've got Guy, we've got Fizz Rockas, we've got Tamotius. All those guys, they're not runners as well. I mean, they're not hugely off Wendigo. Essentially, they are the cost of 2 races, 25 points a race. 2 races is the difference. You put that on one of their scores, and Wendigo misses race or has a really bad one, and that gap is closed. It's that simple. Right, so everyone red Xing out. That will include me, of course. Got to make sure it's all ready to go. Click the enter button and X again, and we are back in the room. Is everybody paying attention to that red X call? Las Vidas is looking to get on that track. What everyone needs to be looking to do now is just settle down, wait for the race to start, and let's get cracking. But we've had qualifying. We know where everyone is. It's time to go. I'll tell you what, there isn't much better than watching a bit of racing on a Sunday evening. Getting up in the morning. In fact, watching some racing, going to bed, waking up, watching some more racing, putting the football on, watching a couple of football matches. Good result from Arsenal as well today, by the way. And then some more motor racing before going back to bed, knowing you've got the misery of work on a Monday morning. This kind of makes it worthwhile. So everybody has checked out. Check it out. All going back in the room. Let's do the same now. And let's get ready to rumble. Let's get all the information ready to go. So, we are just waiting for everyone to check in, and then we will be racing. So we are, but if you're just joining us, Black Flag Racing TV. This is the Lithuanian Racing Club GR3 Championship. These are the very best Gran Turismo drivers in Lithuania, and they are all competing to see who is the best. At the moment, the reigning champion Dynasty is the best, and he can claim that for another 6 races. He's got 6 races in which to regain or to retain that honour. The man at the moment, the man that's chasing that crown, the man that's partially wearing that crown is Wendigo. 4 races in, top of the leaderboard. But there are a number of people that aren't prepared to let that happen. Simonas, the man on pole, he doesn't want to see that happen. He's 26 points behind him at the moment in that leaderboard. Then we've got King Bob, we've got Guy, we've got Fizz Ruckus. But they are now out on the racetrack, ready to go. We are not long now before the start, just waiting for the lights to come on. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights, and we will be away. There we go. And you know what we've got to do? We've got to do this and we've got to do this, so we can get back in the room. And everyone looks away very clean. Simonas gobbled up from the start, Simonas. And we see Las Vidas into the lead. Wendigo takes second. Paz Kozas in third place. Already Simonas losing out off the line. And very, very quick around this racetrack. But can't hold pole position away from the line. Guy in 5th place. Arminis already down to 6th. So some great starts there, particularly for Paz Kozas and Wendigo. Getting themselves up into the top 3. Tom in 7th place. All very clean into that right-hander there, or into the chicane, should I say. And they all seem to come out clean as well, which is good. As we see Tom just dropping down the order. Dynasty moving up to 8th place. Dariukas in 10th. There is Manfredas on his debut in this championship in 11th place. Ahead of Rollins, who finds himself way, way down the order. And we just saw Mr. J and Aldrich side by side. With Aldrich bringing up the rear at the moment in the McLaren. So out in front is Las Vegas. This man here, he is currently 1.3 seconds clear of the championship leader Wendigo, and looking to pull away. And this is the first race I've seen Las Vegas in here. I've seen him in other races elsewhere, but it's the first time I've seen him racing here. And at the moment, he's showing everybody else what he needs to do. But, and I said that those racing soft tyres weren't necessarily a good idea to start, and that's exactly what he's got on. He's put those racing soft tyres on. He will be pitting. Now it's a 25 lap race. He will be pitting on somewhere around lap 4 or 5. Wendigo mediums. Everybody else. Oh no, sorry, Shady on the softs in the Aston Martin. He's got himself up to 4th place, but he's another one that's going to be pitting early doors. He really needs, if he wants to get anything out of this race, he needs to get up behind Las Vidas and try and make a little bit of a gap. But he's under pressure from Guy, who's behind him on the medium tyres. Arminis also running those softs. So these soft tyre runners will be coming in lap 5 maybe, if they've looked after them enough. Lap 5 we'll see them coming in, but very abrasive this track, very hard on the tyres. Dynasty also running the softs. He is side by side there. Simonas way down the order. 9th place. He was on pole, remember. That is a disastrous start for him. But how disastrous really is it? Because he's on the hard tyres, and he is, to be fair, hanging on the back of Dynasty with those hard tyres. Tom on the mediums, Dynasty on the softs, and there is Simonas on those hard tyres, currently in 9th, making a move on Dynasty up the inside. Can he make it stick? Not quite, doesn't quite have the traction to make that move stick, but he's just put in a purple sector. That's currently the fastest man with a 49.3. Massive contrast from the qualifying, but obviously that was just the start lap. Manfredas, he is currently in 10th place, running those medium tyres also. Rollins also opting for mediums. Hard Dariukas, he is another hard tyre runner down in 12th place. Mr. J on mediums. Aldrich also on those medium tyres. So we've got 2 opting for hard tyres to start this race. The gap is 3.6 seconds, but I wouldn't read too much into that. Las Vegas has put in a 43.0. Crazy quick lap. That's a qualifying quick lap. But he is absolutely drinking that fuel. like a thirsty man that's been in the desert for a long, long time. Drinking fuel, ripping the hell out of his tyres. He's going to come in the pits and he's going to see all these medium tyre runners streaming past him. Paz Kozas in fourth. He's got a penalty there. He's alongside Guy, trying to find a way round. But as soon as he reaches that penalty line, he's going to get swallowed up by Arminis. If he doesn't get swallowed up by him already, and he does, Arminis not only swallows him up, he swallows up Guy as well, and up into third place. Those soft tyres really, really making a difference here at the Glen. Wendigo on those medium tyres, 4.4 seconds up the road. Not tacking on the back of Las Vidas, but he must know by now, looking at his pace, he must know that he's on those soft tyres, and he's not worried at this stage. Medium tyres holding out a bit better. So, pit window for the softs. Lap 5, maybe lap 6 if you're smart. Mediums, lap 7, 8, maybe lap 9. The hards, I haven't tested hards right now, I couldn't tell you. But I imagine if you can get decent pace out of them and you can take them to somewhere around lap 10 or 11, you're in for a good step. But this is definitely 100%, without question, a two-stop race. Any other strategy, one stop is just not quick enough around here. The pace you have to lose to one stop this race doesn't make it worthwhile. You're better off losing your 35-40 seconds in the pits because you can gain that back on the faster tyres. Arminis really looking racy in the first part of this race on those soft tyres. I tell you what, if he makes it to lap 5 on those tyres, I'll be incredibly surprised. Very, very abrasive as he puts in a personal best with a 1:45.4. Timotheus on the medium tyres made his way back up to 4th place. He's got Dynasty crawling over the back of him. Dynasty with those soft running tyres as well will also be pitting either the end of this, but certainly at the end of lap 5. Paz Kozas, a little bit of damage to the front there, doesn't seem to be largely affecting his pace. He's half a second back from Dynasty and half a second up from Manfredas in the Porsche 911. Manfredas currently based in the United States of America. Guy in 8th place, tacking on the back of that battle. He is 4th in the championship. And currently 8th on the racetrack, running those medium tyres, which you should be able to take to about lap 8, lap 9, possibly lap 10. Ron is also on the mediums, and now he is really looking after his tyres. He's very good at taking a car longer than everybody else. Very, very good at looking after tyres. Now that could be key if he can show that kind of pace. 46.7, it's not a bad pace. For midfield. If he can take that pace to lap 12 or 13 on these tyres, he could make the one-stopper work-ish. I still insist that the way your pace is going to drop off, that it's not worth going for the one-stopper. I think my suggestion would be run those mediums as long as possible and then do 2 short stints on the soft tyres. So, lap 4, we have Las Vidas already in the pits. We have Arminis already in the pits. And we have Dynasty in the pits. Wendigo will take the lead of this race. I called it from the beginning. Once I saw the damage that that this track was doing to those tyres, I said that it was a really, really bad decision to start on the softs. And I think that decision was justified because now Las Vidas moving on to the hard tyres. So looking to take them quite long now. But he's got to get past some cars. Dariukas is on those hard tyres. Las Vidas is on those hard tyres. Simonas running also the hard tyres, but he's been running them since the start of this race. As you see, Mr. J moving up to 9th place. But again, Simonas won't be too worried. He's been running the hard tyres from the beginning of this race. He has got a very, very specific strategy in mind. He knew that he was quick, and he knows what he can do on the soft tyres. So at this stage, he's quite happy to kind of sit in there and just get his car around the track without too much damage. So front 2, Wendigo on the medium tyres. The front left looking a little bit ropey, as is the rear left. But certainly got 3 good laps left in those tyres. So lap 8, maybe lap 9 for those that aren't faint of heart. Tom, a little bit more damage on his from that 4C. Might not be able to stretch it out longer than lap 7. Has caused us with a little bit of damage there, but looking after his tyres quite well. The only tyre that worries me a little bit is that left rear, but a little bit of lift and coast and not pushing too hard through the corners, and he might be able to make that work till certainly lap 8 or 9. Manfredas, similar situation to Pascozas ahead. He's less than a second behind him, got a bit of slipstream, but he's got Guy for company. Now Guy has been really rough on those tyres, actually. The front tyre causing a few problems already. Now that is a definite for lap 8 for me. I suppose it really depends how much he takes out on this lap. I think maybe lap 7, because we're not far into lap 6. I think he can take this to the end of this lap, and at the end of lap 7, that'll be running quite well. Rollins, though, really looking after those tyres. He can take this car, in my estimation, he can take this to lap 9 with the current tyre wear. He's only about halfway through the tyres there. He's not even halfway through the fuel. In fact, if he's really brave, he can take it to lap 10. And if he gets that car to lap 10 on those medium tyres, that'll be an awesome performance. If he can get him to lap 12, which is certainly doable with the tyres he's got left, if he drops the pace a little bit, 2 really quick stints on soft tyres, and we could be looking at Rollins in or around that top 3. Las Vidas was the early leader, pulled out massive lead, chucks in the 3 fastest laps of the race, 43.0, 43.3 and a 43.7 before he had to pit on those soft tyres. Now finds himself 17 seconds behind the leaders, and by the time he does regain the lead of the race, they're going to be on much fresher tyres. So I wonder if he's questioning whether the strategy is the right one. Now often you guys will hear me question the strategy, and at the end of the race I've been proved wrong, but I'm going to stand by what I think here, because I just think those soft tyres, with how abrasive they were and how quickly you had to pit and where you come out in the order, that's a lot of race cars to overtake. Now if he does close up on the back of Rollins, which is going to be very difficult to do on those hard tyres, he's got to try and overtake him. He's going to got to overtake Guy and Martin. It's too big an ask, I think. So there is Wendigo. He is on lap 7. Certainly can now take this one more lap, I think, into the chicane. He's built up a 10.2 second gap over Tom in second place. Tom really looking at that rear left tyre, and will certainly be feeling the effects of that dropping off the cliff very soon. Now the thing about the tyres here on GT7 is that you can run them right down until they're all red. However, if you do that at your peril, because the moment they do turn all red, just one tyre, the car is uncontrollable, as you would expect with worn tyres. And we saw at Dragon Trail a couple of weeks ago exactly how much time you lose if you take those tyres one lap too long. But he's currently nearly 11 seconds now behind Wendigo. 1.5 clear Paz Cosas. He is in that McLaren. He's running those medium tyres also. Little bits of damage on the front of that car. Now, repairing that in the pit stop is going to cost him a bit of time. That might push him a bit further down the order when they come back out. But still half a tank of fuel, so it's not that fuel intensive by the looks of things. I expected it to be a little bit more thirsty on the fuel here, but it's not been that intensive. Wendigo, he's in. Decides to come in at the beginning of lap 8 and change those tyres out. He's opted for which tyres to come back out on. Looks to me that he's going to come back out on the medium. So Paz Cosas goes up into the lead. Where is Las Vidas? Does Las Vidas retake the lead of this race? Well, no. He is second. He is ahead. Rollins up into third. Wendigo comes out of this very long pit exit. So long. 32 seconds just to get round a couple of turns. So he comes out in third place. He's running those medium tyres for a second stint. Now that will take him to lap 16. And that will give him, essentially, I think he's going to do must be doing 3 stints then. 3 stints on the medium tyres. So what he needs to do, he needs to take this an additional lap here. If he can take these tyres to lap 9, he can run the mediums to the end after his second stop. Mr. J way up the order now. Now, where's it? Right, so Paz Cosas is going to pit. Las Vidas will go off into the lead. He's on the hard tyres though, not going to be that racy. Rollins just in behind him. Looks like Rollins has started just to ramp it up a little bit. Did a 46.5 and then sat around that kind of mid 46. couldn't get again to the 47.6, but just started to see the effects of those tyres. Is he brave enough to do another lap? I'm not sure I would, with the pace out front at the moment. So he's currently 2 seconds back from Las Vidas. He's got Wendigo right up behind him. When Rollins pulls into the pits at the end of this lap, that will free Wendigo on the softer compound tyre to chase after Las Vidas. Now, being on the softer compound tyre, yes, he will have to pit again in 8 laps or so. But he will also be a lot quicker. We see that Las Vidas. Look at the difference in pace. He was chucking in solid 44s on the... don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that a 45.2 isn't quick on those hard tyres. But just know that he's on the medium side. But we look there at 46.3 on the hards. He's going to be dropping time every single lap. Now, you want to be getting off those hard tyres as quickly as you dare, really. He's 3.2 clear at the moment. But Wendigo is going to start eating into that gap on those medium tyres. He can go a little bit racier. He knows how long he can take those tyres. He's given it a test in the first stint. How quickly can he close the gap? Does he want to close the gap right up? Or does he just want to settle into the race now? Bear in mind that he needs to... The further he finishes ahead of Simonis, the bigger that lead at the top of the championship becomes. At the moment, Simonis is where? Simonis is there, behind Shady, on those medium tyres now, way down the order, so that his ploy on the hards hasn't worked out for him, because he's right down that order. And I wasn't sure about that strategy to start off with, but it hasn't worked. Shady making a move there, trying to stay ahead. He's got a 1.5 second penalty, and he's lagging around all over the place, like his internet was provided by Tesco's or Aldi or Lidl or something like that, a budget supermarket broadband. But he does stay ahead of Simonis. So looking relatively quick, Shady, in that, he was, and then he served his penalty, of course. But looking certainly quicker in the Aston Martin than he was in the AMG. That is for sure, without question. So, further down, what have we got? Man Vidas, debutant in the race from the United States in that Porsche 911, currently running in 12th place, 37 seconds off the leaders. Mr. J, recently out of the pits, fresh medium tyres on there. Going to have a bit more pace than Man Vidas ahead. Certainly see him taking that position shortly. And Paz Kozas, well at the rear of the pack, picked up some damage clearly somewhere, and that has cost him dearly. He's running the hard tyres. He can go long, but we know there's just no pace in those tyres. No pace in it at all. No grip. So he starts lap 10 in 14th place. Las Vidas, he's on lap 10. He's nearly on lap 11. So it won't be long at this pace before him and Wendigo. And that gap already down to 2 seconds. So in the space of one lap, Wendigo with a 1:44.6 takes almost the whole second out of Las Vidas, who can't do better than a 45.2 on those hard tyres. Now the thing is, it's all well and good running the hard tyres because they're a little bit of a harder compound, but you take too much out of them, you make them too hot, you will just start ripping them up anyway. So is it worthwhile? If we look at the tyre wear, Las Vidas, he did pit earlier, he's got more tyre wear than Wendigo. So are these tyres just going to match up? We've got two mediums versus a soft and a medium, soft and hard. Are they going to match up in terms of abrasiveness? As Wendigo puts in another personal best with a 44.333. That gap down to 1.6 seconds. And we can watch this charge right here as we see that gap closing all the time. Anyone else making a move? Well, Arminis up into third as Dariukas jumps into the pits to get rid of those hard tyres. So he was the last man in. He's taken those hard tyres to lap 11 of this race. Rollins goes through into 5th place. Tom will go through. Simonis now through in 7th. He got rid of those hard tyres a bit earlier. He's now looking very racy and makes that move on Tom like he's not even there. It was like he was overtaking a safety car. Absolute phenomenal overtake. Tom is trying to tuck in behind in that 4C, but has he got the pace? He's coming back at him. He's coming back at Simonis, who's at the moment desperately trying to defend into the chicane. That's where you back off. You can't make the move there. The dirty air will throw you into the wall. So he does have to back off, and Simonis gets a great X out of the chicane and able just to open that gap up. Audriox 1.3 seconds behind in the McLaren. He's running the hard tyres. He's going to find it a struggle to close up on the back of Simonis running those hard tyres. Audriox on the mediums may close the gap to him. It's 1.2 seconds at the moment, but looking a bit racier and certainly putting in some quicker lap times. Shady in his new car in the Aston Martin. Yes, the tyres are lasting longer, but he's only taken, he's run the softs and the mediums, and he's only got to lap 11. And to put that into context, he's going in for his second pit stop at the end of this lap. Dariukas has just come out of the pits after his first stop. So, changing the car from the AMG, where he thought the tyres were a little bit too abrasive, and he's had to pit twice in 11 laps anyway. So, maybe this car choice wasn't necessarily the best idea. Sometimes it's just the way you drive that drags your tyres so badly. Dariukas, he's just come out of the pits. He will move through once Shady pulls off to the right hand side here right now. There we go, we see him going in. Dariukas through, Mantvidas through, Danis D also through, Mr. J through, and Paz Kozas will be the only one that doesn't make it through. He's 51 seconds behind Shady. And I hope you all can see the webcam. What? I'm joking. I just wanted my missus up. That's Vidas in the lead. Half a second clear of Wendigo. That gap was 3 seconds. Las Vidas went out racing. Built up at almost 4 second gap on the soft tyres. Had to come in onto those hard tyres. Couldn't maintain the pace. And here we go. Wendigo opted for 2 stints on those mediums, has closed up on him, and is ready to make this overtake. This is the view from him. He gets a good exit there as they cross the start-finish line to start lap 13. This is the midway point of the race. Is there a move into turn 1? Las Vidas does block that off very well. Now, Wendigo's got 2 options here. Does he charge ahead knowing he's probably have to pit earlier, or does he sit in behind now and save a bit of fuel and save his tyres and make Las Vidas wear his tyres out defending? But he's getting a great slipstream there, putting it alongside. Don't know if he's enough time to get this done before they go to chicane. He's got the inside line though. Very brave move. Las Vidas backs out of that move rather than going side by side. Backs out and makes sure that he doesn't damage his car. So good move from Wendigo. Very brave. And I've got to say, really trusted Las Vidas there to not try and go in side by side with him. I've lost the view I wanted. So Wendigo, does he have an opportunity now? He's got, 13, so probably 2 laps left. He pit at the end of lap 7, going to lap 8. 2 laps left in those tyres, maybe 3 laps if he's looked after them. If he looks after them a bit from now, and he's got to try and pull out a gap. The gap at the moment is 1.2 seconds, and it is opening up. He's done a 44.6, 44.3. He's done a 44.5 and a 45.2 when he's held up behind Las Vidas. Las Vidas consistently in the mid to low 45s. He really needs to up that pace if he can. Those hard tyres aren't going to hold out forever. We're on lap 13. He had to pit after just 5 laps. So lap 5 he went in with to change out those soft tyres. He hasn't yet done, I think this is lap 8 now he's doing on the hard tyres. So can he, now this is the question, can he drag these out? If he can drag these tyres out for another 8 laps, that changes the complexion of this race a little bit. I'm not sure he can, because I think the rears are going to give out, well I mean the fuel's going to give out before the tyres do, to be fair. But Taking that a bit longer, I think it might have been wiser to put a bit more fuel on and take it a little bit longer in this stint if he felt he was racing enough on the hards. But at the moment, he can just watch as Wendigo disappears off into the distance. Now, at the moment, he's doing okay. He's 20.6 seconds clear of Arminis, and there is Arminis in that Supra on those hard tyres. He's not being able to look after them as well in that Supra, and he's going to have to come in at the end of lap 15. But he might not even be in the top 3 when that happens if Guy catches him. He's 1.1 seconds behind at the moment and looking pretty racy. He's done his best lap of the race with a 45 dead, which is almost 2 seconds faster than the last lap of Arminis. So Guy is currently running in 4th place. Simona's 5.5 seconds behind. He went out early on those hard tyres, having been on pole position, and that strategy has just not worked for him because the midway point in the race, he is nearly 30 seconds, almost a pit stop off Wendigo, who goes into the pits. And we will see Las Vidas go through back into the lead of this race, but he's on those racing hard tyres. We know how much faster Wendigo is on the mediums and on the soft tyres. So bear with me. Apologies for that. So Las Vidas is currently 21 seconds clear of Arminis. Arminis will pull into the pits at the end of this lap. He's dragged it out quite well actually on those hard tyres, but it is quite abrasive and quite difficult on that Toyota. Simonas up into 3rd at the moment, but I still stand by my view that the strategy was all wrong because he's going to put in the pits now. That front tyre's gone, the fuel's gone. Las Vidas, he's got probably another lap or 2 of fuel left in him. Arminis, he will have to come in this lap. So Las Vidas will open up a bit of a gap. Rollins will stay on the track. Rollins is 36 seconds back. Where is Wendigo? Wendigo's come out in 7th. He's opted to go for the hards. Does he feel these tyres have pace? Is hards the way to go at the end of this race? So he's going to try and run. Well, no try about it. He will run to the end of this race on these hard tyres. Now, 44 seconds is the difference between him and Las Vidas. Can he push that car on now? It's quite a long pit stop here, to be fair. So we know that there is going to be an opportunity. It's whether he can close the gap a little bit between now and that pit stop, which is happening as we speak. He is 23 seconds clear of Arminis and in the pits. So he's pitted actually a lap earlier than he probably should have done, which is lap 16 of this race. I think with the fuel and tyres he had left, he could have taken this to lap 18, which would have given him a much shorter stint and the opportunity to be much racier in the tail end of this race. But a lot of fuel to put on board. Arminis comes in. Here we go. Simonas comes in. Rollins. Now he will stay out. Where's he going to come in terms of the pit stoppers? Is anyone going to get out before he has a chance of running some lead laps here? So Rollins goes through. Everyone's still in the pits. So Rollins through into the lead of this race for the time being. Las Vidas comes out in 2nd. He will regain the lead of this race, but for how long is the question. Dariukas, he's in 3rd place at the moment in that Porsche 911. He's got to pit one more time. He's not going to be able to take it to the end of the race as it stands. Tom either. He will also have to pit from 4th place. So Wendigo doesn't have to overtake those 2 cars in front. The gap is 2.3 seconds to Tom. Hopefully he will see Tom and Dariukas peeling off in front of him into the pits, so he doesn't have to make the overtake or get held up behind them. Now the gap now to the leader is only 5.7 seconds. In fact, nobody else other than Simonas, who's on those soft tyres now, he's going to have to run 2 stints on the softs from 8th to try and make back up the time he lost starting on the hard tyres. It's going to be a difficult task from that point because he's only going to be able to do essentially half the laps that are left with the tyres he's got, and then he's going to have to do the same again from the pits. I think he got it wrong strategy-wise. It was certainly a lot faster than that strategy called for, really. Guy in 9th place at the moment hasn't really challenged the top sort of 4 or 5 in this race, which, bearing in mind, he's currently running 4th in the championship. You would have expected, and he has a fastest lap to his name as well. But this is who you're watching out for. Las Vidas in the lead on those racing hard tyres, looking at running to the end. 1.3 clear of Rollins, still has to pit. He is just a second ahead of Dariukas, also still has to pit. 1.2 up the road, we're looking at Tom in the Alpha 4C. He will also have to pit again, although not necessarily for a couple of laps. In fact, I would be looking at Tom being quite racy on the soft tyres for the last few laps of this race. Look after these tyres here, Tom. You can take this 3 more laps. You've certainly got the fuel to do it. You can find yourself on some racy tyres for the end of this race. So, Wendigo, the gap to the leader, 4.4 seconds. He is currently running 5th, but the track position doesn't tell the whole story. The 3 cars in front of him need to pit. He will pass all 3 of those. He's closing the gap on Las Vidas from 5th place, and this will extend his lead at the top of the championship, because the next closest person to him is running in 8th, and that's Simonas. 3rd place is not in the race today. King Bob's not racing, and Guy way back down the line in 9th behind Simonas. And there's Mr. J sideways. Who's that going to affect? Nobody at the moment, but his tyres are gone. He's going to have to. He's still got quite a few corners to get round with those awful tyres. So everyone does get promoted up 1 place after Mr. J spins round and round and round. Arminis will make the overtake as well, because those tyres are just not going to hold on. So we look at the leader. Here he goes. He crosses the line to start lap 18 to finish lap 17. As Rollins pulls into the pits, Dariukas stays out for another go around, as does Tom. Wendigo already on the back of Timosius, close into the back of that 4C, wants to get past him as soon as possible. Now, Tom isn't racing Wendigo, but he doesn't know that. So he's not going to give that place up, and neither will Dariukas if and when Wendigo gets there. So this is going to be the part of the race that's going to be key for Wendigo, because the gap to Las Vegas at the moment is 4.9 seconds, and it's how long does he get held up behind these cars that still need to pit before he can start to get the hammer down and try and close up on the current race leader. Very interesting development, because we know Tom's fault. We know Tom is very wily, difficult to get past, particularly when you're on slower tyres. Very difficult to get out of the corners on the slower tyres when the man in front of you is running as he is. But they're both on hard tyres, so it shouldn't be that complicated. But Tom putting the car in all the right places, which is just slowing up Wendigo. He does make the move around the outside there. Can he make that move stick? He does make the move stick, and Tom goes down to 4th. So Wendigo can now put the hammer down, start moving up the road towards Dariukas in 2nd. He's now 5.4 off the lead of this race, though. So Las Vidas, very good race management from him. Just got his pace around those low 146s. Is it enough? We know when Wendigo is, Wendigo's still lapping in the 45s, the high 45s. So we're on lap 19 of 25. He essentially needs a second a lap. If Wendigo takes 1 second a lap for the next 6 laps, we might see an overtake on the last lap of this race. This is where the charge begins. Simona's up into 3rd place. He's on the racing soft tyres. There's no way in hell he's taking that car to the end of this race. Strategy all wrong for him today, and it's a shame, because Simona's was quick today and was really looking forward to seeing that challenge out in the lead to challenge people like Wendigo and Guy. But he got his strategy very wrong and finds himself 5.5 seconds behind Wendigo with soft tyres on, needing to pit again, with Guy only 3 seconds back. So by the time he pits, he's going to find Guy coming through, Arminis coming through, Rollins maybe even coming through, Dariukas as well. He could find himself way down the order, which is going to put a big dent in his championship hopes. The gap, he is closing on Wendigo, there's no doubt about that. But he just cannot take those tyres. The last 6 laps of this race, it's just not doable, which is just unfortunate. Let's work from the back of the order. Here we got Mr. J. We saw him have that big spin. His tyres went off. He's 9.6 seconds behind the current reigning champion, Danius D. He is 2 seconds. He's on the hard tyres. He's got 2 seconds. 2 seconds to make up on Shady, who was running better in the Aston than he had previously done on the in the AMG. But he's found that the tyres here are quite abrasive too, and it just hasn't worked out for him. And I'm not, whatever car you're comfortable with, I say drive it. But I just don't understand why you would drop the AMG, particularly at a track like Watkins Glen, where that raw power would have come in handy. But them's the brakes, and that is his car for the rest of the season. And 3.3 seconds is the gap to Paz Kozas in that glorious looking 650S. That's a beautiful car. If you own that car and you don't get a lot of Poontang, then you've got some severe problems. Audriox 22 seconds, 23 seconds up the road, under no danger from Paz Kozas. And you lot are waiting for me to get to the top so we can see what the gap is, aren't you? I'm going to keep you waiting. There's Tom. He's come out in 9th place. Is putting a lot of pressure on the back of Mantvidas. And we see him here just breezing past with that slipstream. And it says bye-bye. But Mantvidas trying to come back at him. Is the move on? Doesn't look like... Oh, he's picked up a penalties, Tom. Now that's a disaster for him. He needs to build a big gap now on Mantvidas, and hope he doesn't lose that place. Dariukas in 7th, 1 second behind Rollins. He's on new medium tyres, but so is Rollins. Fuel very similar. They're going to the end. Is there a battle ensuing there? Can Dariukas, we look at his lap times, he's just put in a personal best. Lap times slightly slower than those of Rollins. Can Rollins pull out a gap? He is just keeping it just over a second. As Simona's into the pits. Now, he's going to come out of the pits. Where? Because we know Guy is going to come through. Guy will go into the top 3. Now, he's only 3 points, behind Simona's on the leaderboard. So this is a bit of a disaster for Simona's. He's going to, not only is his charge for first going to be scuppered, he's going to lose second. Armin is coming up into 4th place. Is Rollins going to come through? We see Simona's now. He's on the go slow. It's such a long pit exit. Where is Rollins? Rollins just behind him on the medium tyres. Simona's, I think, on those softs should just stay ahead. Can he make an 11-second deficit? He's gone 1:42.1 on those soft tyres and is absolutely melting it. Now, Arminis is doing steady 45s. 3 seconds a lap. We're on lap 21. So that's 3:6.9. That's 12 seconds. We can see these two in a battle on the last lap of this race. 2 seconds further up to Guy. Can Arminis close that gap? He's got Simonas charging him down like an angry bull, looking to try and get on the back of him. Guy, 20 seconds behind Wendigo, not going to close that gap, but looking good for 3rd place in this race. So here's the gap we were all waiting for. And Wendigo not able to make any inroads into Las Vidas. Las Vidas just up in the pace at the end of this race and taking the car home to the end on those hard tyres. So another missed 1st place for Wendigo by the looks of things. So this is where the race we need to see. Simonas on a charge after Arminis. The gap was 12 seconds. The gap is now 9.7 seconds. And Arminis goes into the pits. That's a disaster because now Simonas will catch him. The question really is, Can Simonas catch Guy? So Gidrazo, there he is. He's churning in mid 145s to low 146s. So about 3 seconds a lap. There's Simonas, who has done a 142.1 is his fastest, but has been chucking out regular 143s. Can he close up this gap? 11.4 seconds is the challenge. He's already pulled a second out on Rollis. So here we are. So where are we? We're lap 22 of 25. We'll see where he is when he crosses the line. We'll have a little flick through the field, see where people are, and then we'll see where he is at the end of lap 23. So he's coming round into this final sector. The gap's 10.2 seconds. Wendigo, 6 seconds is the gap. He's not closing. The race is over out front there. Guy not closing on Wendigo. So here we go. Simonas through that penalty line. He's a little bit, half a second down on his previous lap time. He will come round this bend here. Nice and tight at apex. Get on that power. On the power early. Abuse those track limits as much as you dare. Left hand turn here. Again, get on that power early if you can. And then off you go up the road. You've got another left-hander followed by a right-hander, and then we'll see where he's at. The gap is now 8.6, 8.5, 8.4, 8.3. He is closing at a rapid rate of knots. So here he goes. He's under the go bowling sign. He crosses the line. There's the gap. It's 8 seconds. Let's do a quick runner through from the back. Mr. J, 3.8 seconds behind. Dynasty, he's 11.3 seconds off the back of Shady, who didn't get the performance out of the Aston. But is there another story here? Is he going to catch the back of Pascozas and give himself an extra few points? Certainly looking to be a bit closer than he was last time out. So can he close up? Well, at the moment, it doesn't look like he can. The gap to Tom from Pascozas, 6.9 seconds. That's not going to change, bar an accident. Tom, 11.7 off the back of Audriox. Audriox running that McLaren. 5.6 seconds he is on the hard tyres. The guy behind's on softs. Now, Tom's on softs. What's pace like? On 44.2. Audriox, 47.4. It's doable, you know. A couple of tenths here and there, and that's doable. He's just put in a purple sector. Is he purple? Is he going to nick fastest lap of Simonas? That's the key. So we go through the order. There's Audriox, 7.5 back from Arminis. Arminis couldn't hold out on those tyres, had to go in again. 3.7 seconds that gap. He could catch Manfredas. Manfredas, who is 6.2 behind Dariukas. Bit of damage to his front suspension there. He is 1.4 off the back of Rollis Dariukas and looks to be closing as well. Rollis dropped off Simonas. The gap to Guy, 3.6 seconds. That's in one lap as he pulls out a 1:42.3. Guy is going to be looking in his mirrors. There he is. The view from the back of Guy's car. That is what Guy can see. A lap ago, he had nothing behind him. Now it is the on-rushing Simonas in the BRZ. And I called it as a poor strategy, but actually, yet again, somebody has proved me wrong. It wasn't enough to win the race. Never was. But what a second half of the race for Simonas after a really poor first half on those hard tyres. The gap is down to 2.3 seconds. Looking very... And he's picked up a 2-second penalty. That is disastrous for Simonas. And Guy must see that in his mirrors and be rubbing his hands together. Or will he? Because even at this pace, he might just still catch him. He's going to have to decelerate here at this penalty line. And that must be so agonising when you're putting that pace in and the gap opens back up again. 3.2, 3.5, 3.7, back out to 4, probably 4.5 seconds. So Guy breathes a sigh of relief, and he doesn't even come out that far. So Guy breathing a sigh of relief, but his tyres are looking ropey. We're on lap 24 of 25 laps here at the Glen, Watkins Glen in the United States. And we are watching Simonas charging down Guy for a podium place. Desperately trying to close that gap on Wendigo. He doesn't want Wendigo pulling away in the race for the championship. Final lap for Las Vidas, lap 25. He's 7 seconds clear in that Mazda. Done a very, very solid job today. I wasn't sure if he gotten the strategy wrong with starting on those soft tyres. Actually, it turns out it wasn't a bad strategy at all. Wendigo 7 seconds back. He knows he can't catch Las Vidas now. He's just got to manage this car home. But another good solid point tool for the championship leader. But he's 23 seconds up the road from this man here, Guy Gadrazo. Gadrazo fourth in the championship. Was definitely going to capitalise on King Bob not being there. At one stage was hoping to capitalise on Simonas being behind him to leapfrog him in the table, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, because that is where Simonas is. Simonas is right on the back wing of Guy on this final lap here at Watkins Glen. There are just 6 corners between Simonas and a podium place. Well, 6 corners and 1 car. Can he get past that 1 car? Guy just staying ahead. So we're at 5 corners and 1 car difference. Well, 4 corners now. Little tap in the back of Guy. Looks the other way. He has to wait. He can't take the place. Off the racetrack. Last opportunity. We've got 3 corners left. Is there a chance for Simonas to take this? As Las Vidas crosses the line, wins this race. Wendigo in second. Here we go. Guy in third. Can he hold Simonas off in these final 2 corners? Great exit from Simonas. He makes the move. He's round the outside. Can he make it? He does. He makes his stick into the last bend. Simonas takes the last podium place and the very last corner here at Watkins Glen. What a finish from Simonas. Almost looked, after he caught Guy and he pushed Guy off the racetrack and gave that place back, it almost looked as though he wasn't going to finish this race in the position he wanted, and just pushed and took that place. And so Guy does finish 4th. Ron is in 5th. Dariukas in 6th. Armin in 7th. There's Manvidas in 8th place. Solid in that Porsche. Aldrock finishes in 9th place. There is Timosius. Was on those soft tyres. Couldn't hunt down Aldrox in the end. Finishes in 10th. Does he finish in 10th? No, he doesn't, because Paz Kozas is through. Paz Kozas crosses the line. He nicks it off Tom. Tom in 11th place. That spin costed him places. Shady will come home in 12th. Mr. J in 13th. And Danis D at the back of the pack in 14th place. So how the mighty have fallen should be the words. Actually, do you know what? I don't call that as dirty, to be fair. Because he did hit the back of him, but he slowed down. He let Guy retake that place, and that's quite sporting behaviour. That was brilliant racing, to be fair. He had that opportunity into the last turn. The door was left open for him, but to be fair, it was very difficult to defend against that kind of pace. But Las Vidas is your winner. We're giving Simonas all the glory because of the overtake, but Las Vidas did win that race, and that's 25 juicy points for Las Vidas on his debut in this competition, as it happens. So there we go. So Las Vidas wins the race from Wendigo. Wendigo will maintain his lead at the top of the championship table. Simonas nicking a 3rd place ahead of Guy in 4th, and will extend his lead over Guy, who leapfrogs King Bob in the table. Fizz Ruckus getting a bit, everyone else getting a little bit closer to that top 5. So there we go. It's been another fantastic Sunday evening of racing. We've had some thrills, we've had spills, we've had crashes, we've had penalties, we've had last lap overtakes, we've had last corner overtakes, we've had me get it wrong about strategy yet again, and we've had a little bit of lag, as we always do on a PD server. But what can I say except it's been emotional. This is the halfway point. We've made it halfway through the championship. And your current leader will be Wendigo going in to the second half. There's still plenty of racing left to go, though. 5 more races we've got in this brilliant championship. But next week we are where? Just bringing up my notes. We will be at Deep Forest Raceway in Switzerland for 33 laps. And I tell you what, that's a bloody good racetrack, Deep Forest. It can be really unforgiving. There's some punishing walls. There's some great straights for some overtaking. So really looking forward to 33 laps of Deep Forest next week. Coming from Black Flag TV tomorrow is the round 4 of the GR4 lottery. After the race tomorrow, I will be announcing the new cars on the wheel. There'll be 15 new cars on the wheel, and they'll be there for two purposes. One, for anybody else that wants to jump into this tournament, which is proving to get more and more popular. So you can join from the reserve list and pick one of those cars from the wheel. You can also, if you're already in the championship, you can bin your car after round 5 and have a car off the list. But that will be announced tomorrow after GR4. So I will see you tomorrow evening. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. I've been Urban Pirate. This has been Black Flag Racing TV with the Lithuanian Racing Club GR3 Championship, round 5 at Watkins Glen. It's been crazy emotional. See you very, very soon.